We need to rewire our perspective of what a challenge is. It's only uncomfortable because it's outside of our comfort zone, and that's where real growth occurs. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. My name is Richard Thompson. I am your host, and today is a very special episode because it will be our last episode in this studio. To bring everyone up to speed, the last 6 months I've been practicing back as a lawyer, and we, as well as obviously a full-time podcast host. They aren't mutually exclusive, thankfully. But we've made the decision within my little unit to start our own law firm, which is incredibly exciting. I've really enjoyed getting back into law, but I also miss the business element to life and to the commerciality of it all. So we decided to step up into the unknown and go after a massive goal, and that is to open up a law practice on the Sunshine Coast. And part of that process is we've built into the firm a commercial grade podcast recording studio. So there's acoustic, and this is a huge shout to Codes and facilitating and helping with all this. And he's part of this process. He's taking ownership of the firm as well. But we've got acoustic glass, acoustic paneling, ceiling mounted lighting, proper cameras, the whole shebang. So we're going to be wanting to interview. The intention is to interview 2 times a week. Now we can do this during office hours, and so it's going to be an incredible experience, and not without its challenges, I'm sure. But we're fortunate enough to have 6 staff, or 5 including, or 4 extra staff, including Cody and I, to start with at the firm. So 6 of us will begin, and we can't wait. So if you do need a lawyer, let us know. thompsonlegal.com.au is where you have it, or just get in contact with us. But in terms of the podcast stuff, just sit back and really enjoy what the next year looks like, and the guests that we can bring on and share their experiences and their relationship with success and happiness. We're really looking forward to doing that as well and continuing these conversations. But today is going to be a solo episode. And the way that I looked at life is that in certainly the last little while, is that there is a huge piece on understanding the direction that you want to go, and a huge piece in what you want to achieve in life. And there's a lot to be said about sitting at the end of your bed and just postulating on what is good in your life and what you want to improve. No matter what you're trying to achieve, you're going to hit life's challenges, right? That is a prerequisite to growth. You've got to have them. And they're the uncomfortable situations. Like, life is hard. It's cruel and beautiful at the same time, and never turns out the way that we expect it. And the dichotomy of life, I think, is that 99% of life is out of our control. But at the same time, how we perceive life, how we respond to it emotionally, to any situation that we are confronting, is 100% within our own control. And it's through that, that's how we consume our own existence, is through our own control and our own lens, and how we view it and how we feel it. And so our life is how we see it. And we get to decide what lens we want to use when we look out, when we see out. But regardless of how optimistic, I guess, we are in our own lives, we're going to be faced with challenges. Some more difficult than others, but life's challenges will always be there. Those uncomfortable situations, how we deal with them is everything, because they represent the hurdles to get us through to where we want to go. It's easy to know how to manage through life when things are going in perfect, right? They're only small hurdles. You just sort of step over them. But it's only when a challenge is thrown at us that is when we need the resources to not only manage through that challenge and that difficult situation, but to be our best self through it and become an even better human as a result of that experience. So here we go. For this episode, I think, is the what I see as the 5 ways to embrace the unfamiliar, the unpredictable, the uncertain situations that will help make you be a better human through life's challenges. So number 1, you embrace the unknown. You can't run away from discomfort. What is so evident over the last 40 odd episodes is that to achieve anything that you want, right, in any area of your life, not only is the journey the value, but by virtue of aiming up, there's going to be discomfort. There's going to be sacrifice necessary. It isn't a pleasant feeling, but if we can reprogram our mind to recognize that feeling of discomfort or that feeling of the unknown, instead of running, we embrace it. You have to be courageous and acknowledge that fear is a natural human reaction that needs mastering. We can do that, then we're going to be in a much better position to embrace life's challenges, right? Postulating on a potential problem or the unknown, more often, I think, it makes the problem appear much bigger than it actually is. Predominantly because I think we don't fully understand it. We don't understand what the actual problem will be. So our mind just works against us or works for us to try to, I guess, on an evolutionary level, protect us. It makes it a much bigger problem than it is. We see a shadow, we think it's a massive lion, but in fact it's just a cat, so as an example. We bring a negative bias to the unknown. As I said, the brain will protect itself by literally making it appear worse than it actually is. And like that, it's all really negative. But I believe that if we lean into the discomfort, if we embrace it, right, you'll learn as much as you can about what you fear. Then it turns the elephant into a mouse. The emotion most associated with fear is interest, surprisingly enough. It is said that fear has 2 faces, obviously. One is to flee and one is to investigate. That is to say, nothing is scary unless some part of us wants to understand it, knows we are a part of it and feels as though it will become part of our experience. So feeling uncomfortable is a signal that we are on the precipice of something new and better. But you must take action. And I think that the number 1 tip here, the first way is to embrace that unknown and to really wrap your hands all over it and fully embrace it for what it is. Number 2 of handling life's challenges is to communicate. During times of challenge and uncertainty, communication is absolutely paramount to the people around you. Tell the people around you your truth. Ensure that you are clear, concise, and consistent with that. Transparency is the pillar of trust, and consistent communication reduces fear, anxiety, and uncertainty with those around you. And as I've expressed in the past in other solo episodes about teamwork, we can't achieve anything without the people around us, without our integral team. So when we are faced with challenging times, we need to understand that the integral part of that success is the team, and therefore we have to respect that team and to be able to provide consistent communication, reassurance. It will provide that trust, and it'll mean that they will stand right next to you and help you along the way. And you'll find that people in your team want to support you through that challenging time and support the team. A poem I read the other day said that, "Promise me not to hide yourself when you are in pain. It's unfair we laugh together, but you cry alone." And I think people want to support you through the uncomfortable situations if that communication is really strong and really transparent and consistent. Number 3, third way to embrace life's challenges is to know your purpose. This is a huge one. Knowing where you are going is critical when you are against it. Something that I learned as an athlete is if the why is strong enough, the how takes care of itself. If you want something so badly in any area of your life, then the challenges to achieve it, they won't be challenges. You see them as a almost acute reinforcement to confirm what you already know, that this goal, this deep-seated desire to head in this direction is exactly where you're wanting to go. A well-defined purpose will motivate you to learn from past experiences and tackle new ones head on. So it might be, this is where I want to go in business. This is where I want to go with my own self-development. This is where I want to go with a relationship with my partner. With any big mission, there will be challenges along the way. Purpose will provide you with the emotional connection to the mission, regardless of what comes at you along the way. You've got to know what that overarching purpose is in all areas of your life. And that's going to really help those difficult situations and life's challenges. Number 4, develop a growth mindset. People with a growth mindset see challenges and obstacles as a necessary part of mastering anything. And flexibility is key here. One thing that is a way to see how you can master any situation is to look at the problem not as to perfect it, but figure out what a person would do to completely fail. So you think about what you want to achieve, and it's very daunting to think, well, what is the best person in that category? What do they do, right? And it's daunting to understand that, and therefore the mind maybe shies away from it and goes, well, that's too challenging. But then you need to, another way around that is to go, well, if I was to completely fail at this, be horrendous at this obstacle, going to this journey or this path, what would that look like? And so it may be that, if you want to get fit, let's say, what would be someone who would fail at that be? And that's someone who doesn't exercise, who does eat terribly, who fails at consistent action or consistent sessions, for example. And so sometimes it's easier to understand how to achieve something by figuring out what the opposite would look like and to avoid that than the alternative. And the literature says that flexibility of thinking involves being open-minded, receptive to alternative perspectives, and willing to adjust one's viewpoints when necessary, particularly when things around us change. Flexible thinkers can consider multiple possibilities and explore different ways of approaching problems or situations. They are also much more likely to change deep-seated beliefs that may not be relevant or serve them anymore. You need to be able to be so flexible in your thinking because life is constantly changing. There is nothing that is staying still. And so your prior understanding of what is normal or what is expected or what you thought was going to happen, it's not serving you anymore. And so to be flexible enough and growth-minded enough to be able to say, that doesn't serve me, that thinking, that line of belief is no longer serving me, and I would like to go in this direction to a new path. And so I need to exercise that growth mindset. And finally, it's the ability in terms of life's challenges is to master your emotions. Young Pueblo recently posted, the inner work is paying off when you can see your ego trying to make a mess of things, but you have enough resilience and awareness to choose internal peace instead of chaos. And I reference back to my conversation with Rich Burrows about when things are emotionally challenging is to get out of your mind and into your body. And I forget that more often than I should, but that's such a great takeaway to be able to get back to nature, get back to the moment. You'll always feel fear as well. If you give a damn about your life or if you're paying the slightest bit of attention to where you're going, you'll know that there's a lot to be anxious and afraid of. The end goal is not to eliminate those feelings, but to strengthen the mental muscle that will allow you to choose to be content in spite of them, not to become paralyzed when they're present and then inaction occurs. Shift your perspective, please, and you'll be able to master your own emotions. But also don't play the victim. You know where you want to go, right? You want to accept that challenge and that path to glory. So when the challenges do come, don't recoil and play the victim here. You want to look at problems or uncomfortable situations as a positive and view yourself as the hero here, not the victim, because you know that the path is going to be filled with tests and challenges and uncomfortableness, right? It wouldn't be worth the journey if it didn't have it. If it was all smooth sailing, it wouldn't be worthwhile. So be grateful of the situation that you're in. Practice gratitude daily for the things that you are grateful for, and be the hero here. Be the hero. That's about it though. Life is hard. It always has been. It always is and always will be. It's not without its challenges or its uncomfortable situations. But for us to achieve in spite of that, we need to rewire our perspective of what a challenge is. It's only uncomfortable because it's outside of our comfort zone, and that's where real growth occurs. I'll leave you with a reference to the mindset coach of Annalie Howling. She says, remember, your inner critic shouts the loudest. when you're on the precipice of making a change because you are about to break out of your comfort zone. Embrace it, team. That's all I can say. That's it from me for this solo episode, the last one in the studio at home. I thank all of my guests that have come, and Cody for coming every episode and coming all the way to home to record it. But all of the guests that have come into studio, it's not something that I ordinarily would do, is to say come over to my home and bunker down in the downstairs room. But it's been a wonderful place to start our podcast journey, and yeah, seriously looking forward to next year and what that will look like for the pod. So if you're still listening, thank you so much. It really means a lot to us. We're looking forward to ramping things up on the distribution side, and I'm engaging in a speaking coach so that I can be better, because I'm so desperate to be better at what I do here, to ask better questions, to be able to formulate better ideas, and to help those conversations come out of such incredible people that we have on the show. So I hope everyone has a great 2024. Please let me know if there's anyone else you think we should be interviewing next year. But until next time, peace.